Welcome back to Ericsson Day Live. And I'm sitting here together with Jasmeet Sethi and Kristina Pandrea. Jasmeet is the head of ConsumerLab here in Kista, and Kristina is a senior researcher. And of course, my first question then would be, what is ConsumerLab?
Right. Great to be here, Anders, first and foremost. And Ericsson ConsumerLab has a very rich history. We've been part of Ericsson for almost 20 plus years. We are now within one of the research areas within Ericsson Research with the mandate of trying to get in the consumer voice into the organization. So every year we go out and we interview about 100,000 consumers globally, representing opinions of about 2.2 billion consumers, and getting all these insights, analytics and trends within Ericsson, but also sharing that, in the public domain, but also with our customers.
And that is why you're here today.
Exactly.
Because you have just a new study that is 5G consumer potential amidst COVID-19.
Exactly, yeah.
And we are in the middle of this, and what do consumer feel?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because what we have done is that we've gone out and we have done research in the French market, but also globally as well, in order to understand how the pandemic might actually impact the 5G take-up. But it's interesting that the first year of 5G has been monumental, I would say. We are starting to see an uptake that we have not seen with previous generations of technology. So the uptake is much faster. If you just look at some sheer numbers out here, I mean, we have about 92 commercial networks in 38 countries. We have about 150 million 5G subscribers now in China. We are forecasting from an Ericsson Mobility Report perspective that Western Europe is going to have about 290 million 5G subscribers by 2025. And already in a lot of front-runner markets, we are starting to see the adoption actually taking up. So in South Korea, we have about 8 million subscribers as of July. And what's interesting is that almost 30% of the traffic now is being attributed over 5G, and it's being contributed by just about 11% of the subscribers. So we're starting to see massive sort of uptake on data usage and usage behaviors changing. On an average, a 5G user's data usage is almost 2.6 times that of a 4G subscriber. And we see that new applications and services are being launched, but they have also been discovered by consumers. And I think the most important part is that the front-runner operators have been able to monetize this sort of data usage as well. So we're starting to see some sort of positive signs in ARPU development in markets like South Korea, where the wireless revenues have started to kind of increase for the Korean operators. But we are getting some more positive signs also from other operators as well, who are starting to charge a premium for 5G. So it's been interesting sort of first year as far as 5G is concerned. But then while there are a lot of things that are going in the favor of 5G, I would say that there are a bit of challenges that we also see from speaking with consumers about 5G. And if I would like to just put those challenges in five broad areas, the first one is related to how 5G is being marketed. So a lot of marketing around 5G is still very, very device-centric. And what we have seen is that it does not really potentiate the value of the premium network that the operators are kind of building out. So it's very important to talk about the importance of the network rather than just the importance of the device. The second one is, of course, the network experience. We do see 5G availability increasing in a lot of different markets. The user experience is positive. However, the big challenge because of the pandemic has been the local lockdowns, which have relegated consumers to their home. So the first experience that the consumers are having with 5G is actually indoors, and that's where indoor coverage is becoming a bit of a challenge. We do hope that with the right spectrum and with densification of networks, we will be able to solve this challenge. But as of now, the operators need to start also looking at not just the macro coverage, but also the micro coverage part. The third point is about the challenge that we see is around the lack of use cases that are being bundled on 5G plans. And this we have talked about a number of times before, and we believe from all the research that we have done, consumers really would like to see new applications and services being bundled on a 5G plan in order to offer more value for money. So we believe the front-runner operators are kind of showing the way in Asia on what type of new services could be bundled in, but of course there is a lot more that needs to be done by the operators. The frontline staff as well as the retail store experience is also going to be very important for 5G. And that's where we have seen that when consumers walk into a retail stores, we don't necessarily see any demonstrations or contextual demos talking about differentiating the 5G experience from a 4G experience. That's where we believe that we would need to start thinking about exclusivity and the 5G customer experience part by training the frontline staff, being able to articulate the value of 5G in a better way, but also having a lot of contextual demos in the retail store experience. And last but not the least, I think the challenge now in front of us is a bit about whether we can charge a premium for 5G or not, because we do see that the premium window has shrunk. Some of the premium has been eroded because of the financial anxiety that the consumers are facing, and that is a bit of a challenge that needs to be mitigated.
So, back to France then.
Yeah.
How are consumers in France coping with the pandemic, and will the 5G take-up be impacted by that?
Yeah. So, in order to answer that, in July and August, over July and August, we went out and we interviewed a lot of French consumers. We are representing opinions of about, I would say, 30 million plus French consumers. And what we see is that there is, of course, financial and economic impact of the pandemic. And that is very visible when we have French consumers, almost 45% of them saying that they have been financially impacted because of the pandemic. But what's interesting also is that there is cautious optimism around the fact that there will be recovery in the next 12 months. And that's where we see that 30% of French consumers saying that they expect their financial situation to improve over the next 12 months. So not everything is doom and gloom. There is cautious optimism, and that bodes well for the 5G take-up. So if you move the needle a little bit from the financial impact onto 5G itself, what the pandemic has done is basically shed a lot of light on the importance of resilient connectivity. And I think that is resulting into consumers wanting to invest more in resilient connectivity and mobile broadband. And we see that also in the French market, with about a quarter of users saying that they will continue to invest more in mobile broadband. As far as awareness is concerned about 5G and the possibilities, there are 20% more consumers now in France who are aware about the possibilities of 5G. And that's again a bit of a positive. And despite all the financial anxiety and the economic impact that we see of the pandemic, we still see that there are early adopters who are willing to pay a premium for 5G. So the operators do have a great opportunity to be able to offer new experiences, to offer a reliable, high premium sort of experience with 5G, and be able to successfully kind of monetize it as well. And what is important to also understand out here is that if we start comparing France to a lot of other markets, we see that there is a higher appetite for 5G in comparison to some of the other markets out here. As you see on the slide here, if you were to compare Switzerland or Finland or UK or Italy, we do have early adopters in France, almost 20% of them, who are saying that they are willing to go ahead and upgrade to a 5G smartphone anywhere between 6 to 12 months or so. What does this translate into actual numbers? We believe that close to about 3.5 million French subscribers could actually upgrade to 5G as and when commercial networks are available and coverage is built out. So a lot would actually depend upon whether coverage is available where these consumers are, but the operators should go out and try their level best in order to get the full value of 5G and be able to gather this sort of 3.5 million early adopters who are still looking to go ahead and take up 5G. What's even more interesting is the fact that the iPhone launch will be an inflection point. So when we talk about iPhone 5G particularly, what's interesting is that almost 40% of those consumers who are looking to upgrade to 5G are existing iPhone users who are looking for the next iPhone 5G model. So when the iPhone 5G model is launched, hopefully in October, that's a great opportunity to supercharge the upgrade cycle on 5G. So that's another big opportunity that the operators should not leave and prepare themselves, for this type of new phase that is coming in. Yeah.
So in social media, there are so many unfounded theories and rumors around 5G in health. So I understand that you have looked into that as well. How has the French consumer segment been impacted by these rumors?
Yeah, so it's a very important question, and I think we want to shed some light about the truth behind this misinformation. To start with, we should understand how this consumer perception is being built. What's shaping this misinformation, and we see that a lot of consumers are relying largely on social media and YouTube, and that's where the perception around 5G is being built. But what's even more interesting is the fact that because there is conflicting information around 5G, a lot of consumers, almost 62% of consumers, are saying that they're unsure about what is true or false with regards to 5G and its impact on the health side. Subsequently, we've looked at who would they really trust when it comes to information around 5G. And as you see on the slide, we see that network operators, mobile network operators, really come out on the top as the trustworthy entities to be able to disseminate a lot of this information around 5G. Then, of course, you have a lot of tech influencers, people who might actually be watching this broadcast right now, who also have a role to play out here. So overall, I think the operators need to do a better job in putting the science and the facts behind 5G and its impact on health, or just dispel any of the myths that kind of exist and clear out the air as far as this uncertainty is concerned. And that's where the consumer is also expecting that to happen. I mean, 7 in 10 consumers expect their service providers to talk more about and explain the benefits of 5G. So that's very, very, very important to look at the benefits as such of 5G. And that's where I think to some extent we would have to talk about the digital services that could be enabled because of 5G. And we see in the French market today, a third of consumers are willing to spend both on established as well as more emerging digital services. And that's where it's important that the service providers talk about the benefits of 5G in terms of what it could actually enable, whether that is immersive digital education, remote workspace collaboration, or entertainment and media applications like cloud gaming and so forth. So overall, we see that there is a lot of interest in these new digital services, and that could be the way that the operators can talk about the benefits. And when we've looked at consumers who are not willing to upgrade to 5G, even there we see that talking about these new digital services might actually convince them in order to take up 5G. So this whole era about trying to find those differentiators, those use cases, is going to be really key for the operators to go ahead, monetize 5G as well as differentiate 5G from a 4G experience.
And how can operators seek Ericsson's help when it comes to just differentiating, monetizing, and showcasing the value of 5G for the end consumers?
Yeah, so that's again a very important question. So what we have done at Ericsson ConsumerLab is since last year we started a program which is called Startup 5G with the intention to exactly help our telco customers find out, discover those use cases that are scalable, that are commercially viable, with the help of some cool, exciting startups that we have gathered across the globe. So we still continue to go out and gather a lot of startups from across the globe with the intention to be able to connect those startups with our telco customers and eventually help them monetize and go out and talk about the value of 5G in terms of tangible use cases and not just cost efficiency aspects. Because I think what is going to be important is to put forward tangible use cases, and that is only possible if you work with the ecosystem partners, not just locally, but globally. And that's what we have done at Ericsson. Because of our global reach, we are able to go out and scout and look for these exciting startups across the globe, get them in, give them mentorship and guidance, give them the technical know-how, connect them to our network of telco customers, and eventually help our customers in order to go ahead and differentiate 5G.
That's really fantastic. Thank you. Over to you, Christina.
Yes.
So we have Christina Pandrea here as well. And well, can you tell us about the list of innovative startup Ericsson is working with, and which ones are more exciting?
Sure. So I'm really excited, first of all, to be here and to talk about Startup 5G. And we have a very exciting pack of companies here that have a distinctive and powerful proposition, and they're all innovating over 5G. So as you can see on the slide, we are collaborating on the one hand with hardware manufacturers, and these are companies that are looking at devices beyond the smartphone. These are companies that are really leveraging the speeds of 5G, and at the same time slowly moving into the space of moving the computational power to the cloud. We have this opportunity with 5G to move this computing power closer and closer to the edge of the network, and this is what these companies are doing. And then on the other hand, we have software and app developers and platform developers. These companies have a laser focus on particular 5G use cases for consumers, and they act in the space of esports, sports, live sports, augmented reality content, augmented reality entertainment, and education. So they are really spread across the different verticals that we investigate at ConsumerLab. And what's really cool about these companies is that the type of applications that they build are network adaptive. So the content in the application adapts to the network environment of the user. So I can give you an example. We have here on the slide Inception XR, for example. These guys are based in the UK, and they develop AR books for children. They take pride in saying that with this application, the screen time for children can be turned into productive reading time. And this is so important during these times in the context of homeschooling and in the context of lockdowns. It's a really powerful application for these times. And then what XR Space is doing with the application is that they're building these augmented reality books. The children can go into the application, explore various topics, and start reading, right? But at the end of the session, the kids can enter the book. And what Inception XR is doing is edutainment. This is what we call edutainment, combining education with entertainment. When children enter the book, when children enter this virtual reality world, they can interact with the characters from the book. They can see animals and they can see safaris. And here's the trick. And here's the network adaptive trick of the application. When the application detects that the user is over 4G, the type of animations that are being shown are less intensive and less complex, so that the application doesn't crash and is consistent for the user. But when the user moves over 5G, the types of applications that are animations that are being shown are a lot more richer and a lot more lively and immersive. So you can really see the difference between 4G and 5G, and this is how you can really differentiate the network quality over 5G. The app is basically saying, see, this is why you have 5G.
I can also see you have some devices with you.
Yes.
You have a necklace and you have some, is it VR glasses or?
Yes, it is VR glasses. But let me start with this one, since you mentioned it. So what I have here is a 4K neckband. It's a product from LinkFlow. It's the consumer product. They also have a business product. But believe it or not, this is a 4K camera. So you have 3 cameras in total, and the videos that are being recorded by them are instantaneously stitched together to a 4K 360-degree video. Now, what you can do with this video, there are endless possibilities. And what LinkFlow is offering by default is the possibility of streaming the video directly into social and content media. But at the same time, they are exploring opportunities with 5G 360 video calling between people, but also 5G live shopping. So there are endless things you could do with the 360 video that is recorded by this device. And it's really powerful, especially when you compare it with other devices on the market. This is hands-free. You just put it around your neck, and then with AI integration and voice recognition, you don't even have to touch it. So you just tell it, fit 360, record, and then it records. So just then think about influencers and celebrities that could share their experience live with their followers. And think about the amount of 360 video content that could be created on the spot, just like this. It's an amazing product. And then the VR headset.
Yes, I'm curious about those.
So what I have here is the world's first standalone 5G VR headset. So all you need to do is to insert a SIM card right here in the headset, and then you're ready to go. This really makes the VR experience mobile. You can take it anywhere with you, and this is what XR Space, the company behind the device, is trying to push forward as a message. This is a mobile virtual experience. So I could try it right on, but let me tell you about the other thing that XR Space is doing. They're not only providing the device, they're also providing a basic platform, a world that they called Manova. And this is a floating island where everyone that puts their headset on lands on. So you enter the world, you go to the floating island, and then you get to meet people, you get to meet your friends, family, or whoever is using the platform. You have private places like your own home and your own office, but you also have public spaces like public squares and the Manova Bay and concert venues where you can do all the activities that you do in real life with your friends. So the users on the platform have endless possibilities to keep entertained, connected, educated, healthy, because you can study a university course in the application. You can brainstorm with your coworkers over the application. You can watch a movie with your friends, or you can chit-chat, or even celebrate an anniversary with your family. So it's really, a full package that offers so much. And what I'd like to say, just to sum up the initiative that we have with Startup 5G, is that these companies are innovating over 5G, and they are also willing to talk, discuss, and work with mobile network operators because they wish to make their products successful, and they want to launch them in the operators' respective markets.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add to what Christina said is that if you're watching this, and if you have a great idea, you are a startup which can leverage the characteristics of 5G, then please reach out to us, because we are looking to add and work with a lot more startups beyond the ones that we are showcasing right now. So the avenues are open. Please feel free to reach out to us, and we are all ears to hear about your idea and how we could make 5G much better and much successful for the consumers.
And at the same time, if you are a mobile network operator and you want to hear from any of these companies, just reach out to us and we can organize a pitch session. So you can evaluate yourself what you can do with them and how you can integrate these services in your service portfolio for 5G.
So to sum up, we have a lot to offer, we have a lot of knowledge, and let's see if we have any questions for you as well.
Absolutely.
And we do have questions. Perfect. So the first question is, I think it's for you, Jasmeet. What are the benefits of a 5G 3.5 gigahertz what are the benefits for the user? And it's actually two questions, but I asked them both, and then you can. Will he be willing to pay a premium for a 5G subscription?
Okay, let me take the second part first, because we have discussed that during this presentation as well, that we do see that there is a premium on 5G. And we do see that a lot of the early deployments that have happened, or the commercial launches that have happened, are charging a premium anywhere between 15 to 20%. And we expect that most of the French early adopters will go ahead and pay that 15% premium for 5G. The key here is the sort of differentiation that can be offered as far as 5G experience is concerned, and that's where the use cases come in very, very handy. And if you look at the mid-band sort of spectrum and the characteristics of the mid-band spectrum, it's kind of the sweet spot between coverage and capacity here. And what the operators need to think about now is, of course, the first set of priorities are going to be enhanced mobile broadband and fixed wireless access, because you need to have a core offering in place. Then once you have that, you need to start thinking about tariff innovation. What are the new ways that you can price and package 5G? And the third step is to start thinking about use cases that can best take advantage of the 3.5 gigahertz spectrum that we have. And that's where you need to take in the learnings from the markets. What the South Koreans are doing, especially on gaming, might be very, very relevant for the European markets as well. There is a big gaming user base, and that's where cloud gaming could be very, very important. We also see opportunities in augmented reality, because that is an obvious advantage to scale, because most of the devices are already having these sort of capabilities. So whether you're going to do augmented reality education or augmented reality entertainment and gaming and so forth, those could be some of the cases that can best take advantage of that sweet spot, where you're still going to have a smartphone-centric play. You need that coverage, but you also need reliability and capacity to do these use cases at scale.
Thank you. We are getting more questions. That's fantastic. So the next questions, I'm going to split it up into two parts, because I think the first part is best for you, and the second part is for Christina. So the first part, is there a reliable business model for a 5G 26 gigahertz in B2C?
I think, again, we would have to go back and look at how the early front runners are using this band of the spectrum. And if you look at the high band spectrum, we see that it's either being used from a fixed wireless access perspective with more precision deployment, or it could be more valid for use cases which are best suited for in-venue experiences or stadiums and so forth, where you have a bit of a controlled environment and you want to offer that sort of high capacity and a broader pipe to enable experiences inside those venues. Now, that could mean a two-sided business model, because you could have experiences where you could have like 6 or 7 4K cameras, all broadcasting content in real time, and then offering the end user sort of a multi-view, multi-camera experience. Now that needs a bonding of capacities at the stadium itself, and that's where the high band spectrum could essentially help you. Or if you wanted to offer a massive scale augmented reality, for example, in stadiums or in venues, or even in campus networks and universities, that's where I think the real value of the high band spectrum is really going to be put to use.
That's very good. And the second part, I believe it's better for you, Christina. This is what B2C use cases are to arise first and when?
We do a lot of research at ConsumerLab around this topic. And in our latest report, we have explored over 30 use cases with consumers, trying to understand not only which ones are ready from a technological point of view, because that we know, right? The network is ready, the technology is there, but more to see what is the market ready for and what are consumers expecting. And in this research and in the way we look at the data, we see that there is a high interest for enhanced mobile broadband. This is basically the hygiene. We call it a use case, but eventually it is an improvement on the network side. And it is hygiene because people do expect consistency, reliable type of network, they do expect an improvement in the network as a whole for 5G. But then if we look across other sectors, because we have explored 6 in total, if we look in the entertainment space, there is an interest for high quality, ultra high definition type of entertainment, be it video on demand or other types of entertainment in the area of live sports. It's also about esports as well, but there's also interest in the gaming sector, being augmented reality gaming or being virtual reality gaming, as well as multiplayer gaming, because this is a space where we have not evolved so much in the mobile network because of the difficulty to actually synchronize all the experiences of the multiplayer gaming gamers across the board. And what I would like to point here a little bit is that we're all so hyped about a killer application for 5G, but the way there and actually launching an exclusive 5G application alone might not be the successful strategy because, yeah, coverage is not there yet, so you want to grow up into that space first.
So thank you, Christine and Jasmeet, for these insights. I learned a lot today, and I hope you enjoyed this session from the studio as well. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.